Once again, it's Kitty, huh? Whoops. He was sitting here beautifully, and then I turn on the camera and Kitty comes over to the door going, hey Daddy, and of course Rascal's gone. I'm just sitting out here today and I'm enjoying the sunset, and it's beautiful. The temperature is perfect. Don't have to wear a jacket, don't have to wear shorts. The temperature is absolutely perfect and the crickets are chirping. It's a beautiful day in the autumn. And every season around here, for me, seems to have a really good balance to it, you know? Spring is kind of the rush to get things going, and you're getting out of your house and you're shaking off all the snow and the dust and everything and getting the garden ready. Summer is, your garden is in full swing. There's a lot to do. I have a lot to do during the summer because I got to get things done. But then again, it's kind of hot, so I have to do things in the morning. So I film a lot of my programs in the morning during the summer. Whereas the autumn, I'm doing harvesting. There's not as many things going on in the garden. The harvest is slowing down. Things are kind of calming down. The colors are coming out on the trees, and I don't have to mow the lawn as much. Everything is kind of nice. But with autumn, kind of comes a little bit of a problem for insects. And insects are, we don't think about that. We think about ourselves, you know, our garden, we gotta get our crops in, we gotta grow just enough food for ourselves, we wanna make sure it's us. And sometimes we forget about those who help us along the way. And those who help us are the insects. I know this sounds like some kind of weird commercial I'm starting, but it's true, it's true. You'll see a lot of programs on YouTube and online and in the news, people talking about how bees are very, very important, and they are. They're incredibly important to the survival of all different kinds of plants all over the planet. And industry, I believe, is the root of what's happening to the bee population. They just seem to be going away. And I think that's really kind of sad, because bees are a part of nature. And without the bees, we're going to have a hard time. But on the other side, nature takes care of itself, you know? The bees may be having an issue right now, and I feel bad about that. I think something needs to be done about that. But on the flip side of this, there are other insects that seem to step up to the plate, and they help out when help needs to be done. And my farm is just an example of what's going on. I believe in many places, other insects pollinate plants. We don't think about that. We think, okay, bees need to come to the garden. How do we attract bees? And it's always talking about bees. Big respect for bees, but then again, there are other pollinators. In the autumn, there aren't as many flowers. You know, the flowers have died out for the season. There's not as many flowers. So I try to keep some wild areas on my farm, because nature has a way of taking care of its own. And nature is taking care of these pollinating insects. My garden doesn't have hardly anything growing in it anymore. Just a few tomatoes and peppers. That's it. No tomato, no flowers whatsoever. But nature is taking care of these insects, and I'm very proud of Mother Nature, the way she does things. Let me just show you something. I took a walk around today, and I took the camera out. Let me show you what I found. We have a hornet, and I call it a bumblebee, but I think it's called a carpenter bee. Whatever it is, it's a big bee. I call them bumblebees. They're both on the same flower, and they're getting along just fine, because nobody has time to mess around or to have any kind of issues with each other, because they have to gather up as much food as they can before winter gets here. This is the end of the season, and the flowers are pretty scarce. So the goldenrod is really a lifesaver for these insects. It's one of the last flowers of the autumn. And right across from the goldenrod, there's another one. And it does the exact same thing, and it has a beautiful smell, sort of like honeysuckle. I call them little micro daisies. Don't know what they're called. I really don't care what they're called, but I just gave them the name micro daisies because I didn't know what they are. When the sun comes out, they smell absolutely beautiful. The smell is intoxicating. And the bees and the flies and other insects, they find it intoxicating as well. They come here as soon as the sun hits it and the fragrance comes out, and they go nuts over this stuff. I don't mow it. I don't mess around with it. I just leave it alone, and the insects do what they do. And I wanted to show you this because bees are such a small, you know, honeybees are such a small population of the actual pollinators of flowers. I have respect for honeybees. I really do. But I gotta say that honeybees are not the main pollinators that I've seen on wildflowers. It's everything, all the way from the common housefly. Let me move on over here really quick and see if I can get one. Right there. Just a fly. But it's doing the same thing that honeybees do. Now there is a little bit of a nightmare in the Garden of Paradise, and I don't know if you've seen her. Let me move on in. And there she is. Yep, this is my nightmare. And I have a story about this, but I wanted to show it to you first. This is called a yellow or golden orb weaver spider. And she's just totally taking advantage of all the pollinators that come out here. And let me tell you something, she's eating extremely well. I have thousands of these things. You cannot go anywhere without seeing those orb weavers, and they're pretty smart. You know, they didn't survive for millions of years by being stupid. And they put up their webs right at the edge of a clearing. See, I mow the lawn up to a certain part, and I can't get in there because it's too bumpy. And I like to have some wild areas on my property, so I don't mow that. So it's short down here, and it's tall up there. What happens is the big grasshoppers and crickets, they come out here to feed because it's open and there's more tender clover and stuff out here for them to eat. Well, when danger hits, like when I walk by Rascal, or Rascal, the crickets, they dive for cover and they go into the tall weeds. It's easier to hide. Well, little Miss Nightmare over there is waiting, and she catches a lot of grasshoppers. When I walk around here, I see all kinds of encased grasshoppers. Oh boy, there he goes again. I don't know if he caught that. Yeah, he just walks right on in. Now I have to keep an eye out for him because these spiders may fall and end up on his back. And I don't want to end up petting an orb weaver because I think I'd probably just curl up in a fetal position and lose my mind. And I'll tell you why these things are such nightmares, okay? Let me just park this camera and I'll give you a short story. Yeah, Rascal's busy. He's watching that cat, that cat's watching him. You know, that cat is the best thing that's happened to Rascal in a long time. Rascal doesn't have friends. Rascal doesn't like dogs. He doesn't like dogs at all. He loves people. He loves chasing the goats. But Rascal is a people kind of animal. And ever since that cat made its way onto this farm, Rascal has been so entertained, has such purpose to keep that cat in that fenced area. And that cat teases him. Cats are smart. That cat comes out and he goes, hey, hey, ah, and he runs away. And then Rascal's by that fence for another half hour. It's a wonderful thing. But I showed you the footage, and I wanted to tell you a really short story, okay? Just a real short one. When I was 19, well, first of all, I was raised a lot of my life in southwest Kansas, Garden City, Kansas. And it's a small, dusty little town that I really didn't much care for when I was a teenager, but that's kind of how it is when we're kids. You know, we want to leave our small town. If we're raised in a small town, we want to leave the small town and get out and see the world and stuff. And that's what I did when I was 19. I quit my job. I took a few dollars of what few dollars I had. I had an old 1966 yellow Dodge Dart. It was ridiculous. And I hopped in that thing and I drove to Chicago. And I didn't look back. I just wanted to get out and see the world. And I figured, well, there's no better way than just cut the cord and just go. And that's what I did. I moved to Chicago, and I slowly started making friends. And I was over at a friend's house one day in New Lenox. It's a suburb of Chicago. And we were in his backyard, and he had bushes all along the back. And I'm pushing through the bushes. And we're pushing through the bushes, and he says, stop. And I stopped, and he goes, look. And right in front of me was this big web, just like those, only bigger, because something about Illinois, they grow banana spiders like nobody grows banana spiders. That's what we called them. He goes, it's a banana spider. And he laughed because I almost got it in my face. And I saw this big yellow thing inches from my face, and I got to admit, I hate to admit it, I screamed like a little girl. Like a little tiny girl. And I ran and I did that dance, you know, and everybody's done that dance. When something really creeps you out and you get those goosebumps, you go, duh, and you do this weird little modern dance. I did the modern dance, and I grossed out. That's what we called it back in the day. I totally grossed out, and I swear to God, if I ever saw any of those, I would kill them on sight because they were just a nightmare. And I'm not afraid of spiders. Spiders really don't bother me. I saw that thing in my face, and I realized in real life there are nightmares, and that was my nightmare. And ever since then, it has been in the back of my mind. And I haven't seen them. I've moved from Chicago to Albuquerque. I've lived in Seattle, Nebraska, Texas, you name it, I've been there. Colorado, everywhere. I've never seen banana spiders until I moved here. And I saw them last year. I was mowing the lawn and I saw something to the right, and I looked, and it was a banana spider. and you don't really see them because they kind of blend in. But then the more you look for them, the more you see. And then I was seeing them everywhere, and I took Mike the dishwasher because he was raised in Illinois. I took him everywhere, and he goes, oh, I hate those things. And I just avoided them. I just tried to close my eyes and pretend they didn't exist. And then this year I thought about it. I thought, should I get rid of them? And then I thought about it logically, okay? I was going with that little nightmare Ray from way back in the day. But then the adult me took over, and I thought, you know what? They're getting rid of grasshoppers. They're getting rid of grasshoppers, which are a pest to gardeners and people who want to grow anything. Grasshoppers are definitely not wanted around here. So they do take care of the grasshoppers, they take care of the crickets, they take care of a lot of insects. They're doing their job. It's just nature doing what nature does. They are not out to get me. They're not jumping all over me. As long as I stay out of their little part of the world, they stay out of my little part of the world. So I'm okay with that. The nightmare is gone, and I feel good about that. I feel good that I didn't go around and just wipe out something because I didn't understand it and I didn't want it around. And that's what it's all about, is that if you look around, there are some things that you may not, well, mosquitoes, definitely. If I could wipe out every mosquito, trust me, I would. I don't like mosquitoes. But aside from mosquitoes, there's a room for everything. There's room for everybody here, and everybody has a little job to do, and we're all working together. It's really a pity about the bees, but you know what? I've noticed I have a wild hive somewhere around here. Don't know where it is, and I don't really want to know because it's not my business. I'm not going to go taking their honey. I'm not going to be raiding their nest. I'm not going to be trying to get rid of them. They have a job to do, and apparently they're doing it well enough that they can survive and thrive. They come over to the water bowl, they drink water, they pollinate my clover, they're perfectly happy, I'm perfectly happy, they don't bother me, I don't bother them, everybody lives in harmony, everybody's taken care of. And I got these sunchokes growing over here. You remember the sunchokes growing around that old stump? As soon as those white flowers, the little micro daisies, and the yellow stuff, what is it called? I forgot what it was. Remember what it was? Oh, goldenrod. Ah, my brain's frying out. Anyway, as soon as those die off, then it's time for the sunchokes to put out their flowers. And I notice it is a knockdown, drag out fight for the last of the pollen. And that's why I like to grow those, because I'm trying to help out as much as I possibly can without going nuts and being silly about it. Those flowers are just this huge array of yellow, and it's one last send-off for the insects at the last part of the season. So their buds are starting to open up a little bit. They got the big buds on the sunchokes. When they come out to bloom, I'll show you all the insects that come around. But yeah, nature's a beautiful thing. And so whatever you can do, if you have a little area of your yard, if you have enough yard, let a few wild things grow, kill the mosquitoes, and don't feel bad about it, but let a few wildflowers grow, because that's nature's way of taking care of nature's critters. And I do what I can, but I can't do it all, so it's nice that Mother Nature's helping me out. Anyway, that's my little episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any kind of questions, concerns, or if you just want to say hi, please feel free to post it in the comment section below. I'm good. I caught him in midair. I'm getting pretty good at this. Killing nature's creatures one at a time. Thanks everybody for joining me. Have a great day. Roscoe, come here. I think you've had enough, kitty, for the day. Yeah, I think you have. It's time to go in. Papa's getting eaten alive. Let's go. He's gonna run back. I just knew it. You butthead.